right, good afternoon, everybody. I am Kelly Sigafus. I am battling the Great Michigan weather right now. So, unfortunately, I'm hoping to make it through this whole session with you. I see that most of you that are in the, as an attendee are part of my sponsors. So if you have questions, we can definitely follow up. So today we are going to be focusing on the coordinated application. I am joined here with some of my colleagues. So I have Bob and Terry, Pat, and Melissa that are going to be assisting with questions in the chat. We're going to put some links in there for you to help you out. But really, we wanted this to be a time and a place for you to ask questions and to get your questions answered. More of a office hour type structure. But before we get going, we just want to touch base on a couple small things that you need to know moving into fiscal year 26. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, please enter all of your questions into the Q&A, not the chat box. As I mentioned, the team will be monitoring that to help answer any of your questions that you have. We'll also have some time to answer some questions live. So there will be lots of opportunities for you to ask questions and get some answers, okay? All of our Thinking Thursday presentations are posted on the CACFP training page. That's from the history of the Thinking Thursday. So if you miss any, please feel free to head on over there and get that information. The link to that is on our on the screen for you, but you could also go right to our CACFP training bubble, and all of that is there. You will also be receiving a certificate at the end of the webinar. So if you don't get that, reach out. We'll be happy to send that over to you. So today we are going to be primarily talking about the FY26 application, including the due dates, how to access that application, any changes that you may notice in the fiscal year 26 application, and then answer any questions that you're going to have. So when is your application due? I get this question all the time, and it kind of depends on when you start your programming. So CACFP has a little bit of flexibility in when we need you to submit your application. The hard deadlines that have been put out are on your screen. So if you are planning on starting programming in July, meaning that you are serving meals in July, realistically, your application should be submitted to us by June 30th. If you need an August claim, meaning that you have meals served in August, July 31st, and so on. Now, there are a couple of factors that come into play, such as you're waiting on contracts or you're having issues in the application. If you run into a situation where you cannot submit your application by these deadlines, please reach out to your assigned analyst and have those conversations with them. Like I said, we have a little bit of flexibility. So we really want to work with you to make sure that your application is submitted in a timely fashion, but also that your application is in a complete format. Okay, so we don't want you to submit things just to submit them and then have to do a lot of back and forth. Okay, so if you have questions or you're running into problems, just reach out to your analyst so that we know what's happening and we know how to better support you. Okay, so if you receive any of our newsletters or bulletins, you've seen these dates come out and some of you have already started to panic a little bit, please don't. Reach out to your analyst, okay? So how do I access my application? As I'm scrolling through the chat, it looks like most of you are returning sponsors, are returning program leads, meaning that you're probably already the person doing your application, which is wonderful. But for those of you who maybe are new to the process, just a quick reminder that your application can only be accessed in Nexus through the My Login for Business platform. Okay, So when you log into my login for business, you will see that link that says Nexus or Next Generation Grant application and cash management system. You will access the application through that link. Terry has also put the link directly in the chat for everybody. So if you haven't already bookmarked that, I would absolutely recommend doing that. So I cannot stress this enough. Each person that works in the claim and or the application system must have their own login. Do not for any reason share your login information, okay? If at any point MDE staff find that you are sharing credentials with another person, we will inactivate your accounts. Essentially what's happening is if you are using another person's login or another person is using your login, every time they submit something, they are actually committing fraud. Every time they check a checkbox that says, I am certifying this information is correct and accurate, and those are not their login or those credentials, they are committing fraud in a federal program. So please, please, please do not share your login information with anybody, and do not encourage people to use somebody's login that is not theirs, okay? So what does that mean? That means we need to get you access to the correct programs. So it really is just a couple of steps to get you access, okay? And sometimes this can feel like a very tedious process, but at the end of the day, we are protecting you. We are protecting your organization, okay? Your information is really specific to you as a person. So if you ever leave your organization, that login information goes with you, okay? It goes with you. It is yours. So we don't want somebody else using that information, okay? So if at any point you run into problems accessing any of our system, your first stop shop should always be your assigned analyst, but you could also reach out to our MDE ONS access team. So I put that link on the website, or I'm sorry, on the screen for you. They are really great about helping you get access to stuff. We have run into situations where access has been revoked for whatever reason. And so sometimes it's a really quick fix. Sometimes it's not. But always, always, always reach out if you run into problems or something just looks funky, okay? So once you have access, you're going to click on that link in My Login and acknowledge the terms. Once you get in there on your dashboard, so we call this your dashboard, you should have a couple different panels. One of them is going to be My Opportunities, and one of them is going to be My Tasks. If you do not have those panels, up in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on your name, it should say Edit Dashboard, which would allow you to add those panels, okay? Within those panels, if you don't have My Opportunities or my tasks, it may mean that you are not authorized to initiate an application. So that may mean that you're a level 4 or a level 2 user and you have not been added into the application. If that is the case, that's where that requesting access comes into play, okay? If you are a returning sponsor, make sure to pull your FY25 application forward. Okay, this is so important, especially if you are a school, okay, or you're a CEP program needing to pull forward data. This not only saves you time, but it's going to pull in all of your old data that's already been approved. If you get into your application and there is no data there, it is just completely blank. It means that you did not pull forward your application. And I'm going to show you what to do if that happens, okay? But I cannot stress this enough. make sure to pull forward your application. So let's dig into the fiscal year 2026 application, okay? I'm gonna unshare my screen and reshare. Okay, my team, can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, perfect. So this is the dashboard that I was referring to. I am logged in as a sponsor currently, so this is if this was your dashboard. So under the My Opportunities tab, you are going to see this CNP coordinated application. This is going to be your fiscal year 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and so on application, even though it doesn't have a fiscal year associated. I'm going to click on that. Come on. And goes. So you'll see that it gives me the option of don't copy forward, or if I change this, I can copy forward my most recently approved application, which in this case is 2025. So if I click on that, I'm going to click proceed and move on. So this now brings me to my 2026 application. You can see on the left hand side panel here that there's all of these exclamation points. All that means is that there is data there that needs to be recertified. So that's what you want to see when you initiate an application. If all of that was blank, you would see just this little box like you see under procurement. That means that no data pulled forward. If that happens, you're going to scroll down to the bottom of this green scroll bar, and you're going to come down here and select cancel application. Hit OK. And then you can go back to your dashboard and initiate it again. It will not allow you to initiate another application if you already have one in progress. So if you mess up, you're going to have to cancel and then go back and initiate a new one. Okay. So there's just a couple things that I wanted to show you quickly that are different from the previous fiscal years. So the first one is on the program demographics page. This page, you used to have a lot of information on there. Now you're simply going to select whether or not you are a returning sponsor that has added no sites, a returning sponsor that has added sites, or a returning sponsor that, or a sponsor that is brand new. Once you pick, you're going to simply select the attestation statement and save the page. If you are new or you have new sites, it is going to ask you to update the information that is listed here. Okay. If you are just returning, nothing's changed, select that first bubble and then save the page. Okay. There's been some issues with the site listings page. If you add new sites, as a reminder, you have to add that site into EEM, so our educational entity master, before you can add it into your application. So if you go to add a site and you're searching for the site and the site's not there, chances are it has not been added into EEM. Again, you can contact your analyst and they will be happy to help you through that process. Once you keep scrolling down that green scroll bar and you go to the child and adult care food program, this is really the nuts and bolts of your application. This is where you're going to put in all of your meal service times. You're going to put in all of your programs. One of the biggest things to remember here is that you must select a license if you are a licensed facility, okay? This is the only way that you're going to be able to actually submit the application. You have to select a license. If this license that's listed on the page is incorrect or it is not your license, please reach out to your analyst and we can get that updated. You on the sponsor end cannot update a license or add new licenses, okay? So please reach out to your sponsor. Usually to your analyst. Usually we can get this information updated pretty quickly, okay? You'll scroll down, you'll notice that everything pulled forward from the previous fiscal year, but please make sure that this information is still accurate, especially your meal service times and the dates that you are in operation, okay? So if you're not normally operating in June, make sure that's unselected. If you are not operating on Fridays anymore, make sure that that is unselected, okay? You'll scroll down to the bottom, certify and save this information, okay? You'll just keep working through the application. When you're all done with it, you will come down here to the bottom and submit your application. If you submit your application, it will validate and tell you, wait, there's all these pages that either aren't finished or there's missing information. You will need to go back to those pages and address them before it will allow you to submit, okay? The only other thing I wanted to show you that's a little bit different in the application is regarding contracts. If you are a sponsor that operates your contracts from October to September, you can submit your application now with your current contract. I'm sure Ruby has already been in touch with you saying, hey, like, make sure you get these contracts updated. If that is the case, still make sure that you are selecting that you have a vended meal contract, either with a non-school sponsor or a third-party person. So make sure that you click that box, enter whoever your contract is with, and then we will vet that information on our end, okay? So make sure that you're still entering that information, even if maybe you don't have your new contract ready to go yet. If your contract runs July 1 through June 30th, you will need to have an updated contract before we can approve your applications, okay? So if you have not already started working on those vended meal contracts, make sure that you make that a priority, because we cannot approve your application if your contract is not up to date. Again, if you have questions about your contracts or about like what to do on this page, reach out to your analyst for further guidance, okay? There's really not a one size fits all answer because everybody's program is a little bit different and how you get your food is a little bit different. So I don't want to give you a generalized answer when really it's going to depend on a lot of different situations, okay? So before I jump out of the application, is there any questions thus far that we need to address? I don't see anything in the Q&A, but if somebody wants to raise your hand, we can unmute you and give you the opportunity to ask your questions. If there's something specific that you would like to see in the application, we can definitely take a look at that as well. Additionally, CACFP team, if there's something that you would like us to address, we can definitely take this time to do that as well. Or if there's common things that you're sending the application back that you would like to talk about, we can definitely take this time to talk about that too.
Hi, Kelly. This is Terry. I did put the help guide in the chat so people can use that. It's kind of like a step-by-step as you're going through the app. If you have questions, you can look at that. It's a really good resource. So I always recommend that you start there. But as far as things that are being sent back for, the multi-purpose question on the sponsor detail page is a big one. There's sponsors that are answering yes to that when they don't need to be. And then some issues with the budget page, and they're not uploading their most current financial statements. They're just, for some reason, maybe the old stuff is rolling over, but just to pay attention to that as well.
Yes.
The third thing is super, super, super important. The program procedures page. Please take the time to address each question thoroughly, each bullet thoroughly. It's a super important page. I know it's there's a lot in there, but it really tells us like how you are running your organization, and you really need to take the time to make sure you're answering those questions thoroughly. And if you're not understanding, you really should ask more questions because it's super important.
Thank you, Terry. Bob, did you want to add to that?
I was just gonna tell Terry that the links that she's posted in the chat are just to the hosts and the panelists. So I don't think the the rest of the group can see them.
Well,
Thank
that's
you, Bob.
a problem. Thank you. I'll look at that.
All right, so Terry's going to move some stuff over for you all. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, so Terry's going to move some stuff over for you guys into the chat so you have all of that. She mentioned the help documents. There's also on the application, if you look at the top of the page, there is a link at the top of every page that says for user guides and resource documents. Go here, and there is all kinds of information in here about how to complete these pages. So if you need to know how to complete the pages around program accountability, here is the information. You can just scroll directly to the section that you want to, that has more information about the program or the questions. So they really are some really great, helpful links there. The one that Terry is putting in the chat right now, let me see if I can. Terry, was there a link for the help documents? Not the access ones, but the user guides.
Yes, I just posted. I'm sorry. I'm working off of one monitor right now.
That's okay. That's okay.
It'll be in there now.
Okay. What I want either. I'll share my screen. There is one more page that I would like to show you real fast. And I just have to unshare my screen so I can get it for you. Okay. This is at the bottom of the page that Terry just shared with you. So there's also information on here about procurement. So the procurement contracts or agreements. The one thing that I would say with agreements is MDE is working on a new CACFP prototype. I would 100% use that new prototype. There is some new verbiage in there about special dietary needs and some other information. Like, you all have told us about your constraints, and we are doing our best to try and help with that. I believe that if you reach out to our contracts team, they will send it to you. It's not currently ADA compliant, so they haven't posted it to the website, but I do believe that we can send that to you, and it might even be something that we can send after this session as well. Okay. There's also help documents specific to the budget page, also the site listings page. So if you're having trouble adding sites in EEM, there is actually a video tutorial that you can use that is extremely helpful. If you've had to add sites into EEM, that can be very tedious because it's a lot of pages and a lot of steps, but that video makes it very, very easy to follow. There's also some information in here about site eligibility. Also, permanent agreements. There's the sample form for permanent agreements. So there is good resources in here if you're looking for things. I would absolutely recommend bookmarking this page. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for the application as opposed to trying to navigate the CACFP website to try and find other information. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for any questions you might have. So Terry also put the CACFP staff directory in the chat. If you don't know who your analyst is or you don't know how to contact them, that information is in the chat for you. It may be changing up slightly in the next couple weeks, but if you reach out to any of those that are on that, we are happy to help you and also get you to whoever is your assigned analyst, okay? You all are a very easy group today, very easy.
If anyone has a question and wants to unmute, just raise your hand and we can unmute you. You've got almost all the CACFP analysts here to help you directly, so don't be shy.
Even if it's a question specific to your program, we can definitely help out with those. Okay, well, while you all are thinking about your questions, just a reminder that the first round of deadlines is the 30th, which I believe is Monday. If you have problems about hitting that deadline, please reach out to your analyst. The one thing that I would stress is that we have 30 days to approve your application or to even review your application. So that means that if you need a July claim and you submit it to us on the 30th, we may have 100 other sponsors that submitted their application on the 30th as well. So it's going to take us a second to get through all of those applications. And if we have to send it back for modifications, it can take a little bit of time. So even if you don't necessarily need a claim until August or September, I would encourage you to get your application in as soon as possible so that you have enough time, or we have enough time, to review your application, get it sent back to you, get it approved, do all of the stuff, so then that way you don't miss out on any claim months. And again, if you have questions as you're working through your application, please, please, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We're here to help support you. So with that being said, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes. And if nobody has questions, then we will end a little early today, but we will definitely stay on to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, seeing no additional questions, we will go ahead and wrap up today's webinar. Again, if you have questions, reach out. I just want to flip back real fast to the PowerPoint so I can share this information with you. So our contact information is on the screen. If you don't know who your analyst is, you're definitely reach out to our direct line. Again, we will put you in touch with whoever your analyst is and make sure that you get what you need. Okay.
Thank you, Kelly, for doing this with your throat.
Yes, you're welcome. And I am so sorry to all of you that you had to listen to this today. But I do appreciate your time being here. On that, everybody have a wonderful afternoon, and we look forward to working with you another fiscal year. So take care, everybody.